I'm gonna help you stop overthinking. What's up guys? So I apologize for going on a little bit of a long break. Things got quite busy. I am a little bit more tanned because I went on holiday, and I also worked a couple of festivals. But today we are back with a new video about overcoming anxiety. I'm gonna help you stop overthinking. Now, you probably aren't gonna believe me, but this is possible. Overthinking is completely hindering your life and where you want to get to. So now is the time to start changing that. We all know that anxiety is not our friend, and overthinking only makes things worse. So why do we do it? The thing is, we were made to have anxiety. If we didn't have anxiety to a degree, we wouldn't be able to survive. The point of anxiety is to signal when we are in danger. However, we haven't yet quite learned how to turn that off. So I am going to help you work through your anxiety and your overthinking so that we can start being in a much better place and getting out of life what we deserve. Sometimes anxiety is there to protect us, and it does help us out. But sometimes anxiety is a bit of a drama queen, and what it will tell us is worse than what the situation is. So sometimes the problem is rarely actually the problem. Ironically, the problem is only a problem when you make it a problem. So if you are thinking about it in a bad light, then you are making such an unnecessary assumption, which most of the time probably isn't even the way that it is working out. I had a situation with my friend where she was getting stressed about things, and then she was apologizing for getting stressed, and I was chill. I was not bothered by it. I just kind of took it as, you know, she's having a bit of a moment. And so in her mind, she thought it was a huge problem. In my mind, it wasn't. Most of the harm is actually done in your own head. What we will think is the situation sometimes is not the situation, and we just need to take a step back. It's really important to know that only a small part of the situation actually is part of the outcome. And so feelings can sometimes get in the way with this, and sometimes feelings do betray us, because what we might feel versus what the situation actually is something that we need to handle ourselves. We need to process this, and we can't rely on other people to have to give us a free pass just because we got a bit upset. Now, this is a topic that I could go wild in, but we're just gonna go on to the next point. You need to start overcoming your self-rejection. Sometimes we are anxious because we are underselling ourselves. We will self-reject in a way of hurting ourselves first before anyone else can. It is a defense mechanism, and I am very guilty of doing this myself, where I will play down my efforts and I will reject myself first before anyone else can, so that I don't get disappointed, so that I don't get hurt. And this is what we need to stop doing. If you don't think that you're good enough for the position, apply anyway. What do you actually have to lose? Because even if you don't get it, you're going to be in the same position now. And if you do get it, you would have never known that you would have got it if you hadn't have applied. So sometimes you need to step outside of that comfort zone. Maybe you're thinking that they're not going to reply to your email. Just send it anyway. They don't reply? Okay, but you tried. Don't stop yourself when you have nothing to lose. An example of this I can give right now is that I have applied for a position at my job, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I actually think that I'm probably not gonna get it, but I thought I'd try anyway. And funnily enough, after applying for this, I then later got an opportunity that still puts me in the direction that I want to go. And I found that quite weird, because it was like, okay, so I may have accepted the fact that there is competition. I can still put myself in the limelight where other people are gonna be able to see, and this is gonna put my name on the forefront. Don't stop yourself when you have nothing else to lose, because you're not self-reflecting. You are self-rejecting, and this is what you have to be careful of. Sometimes you're gonna hold yourself back, and you need to be aware that you're doing this, because then once you're aware, you can start to step aside, and you can start giving yourself more opportunities, because you just go for it. And it doesn't need to be about the outcome. Of course, the outcome is desirable, and obviously that's what we're aiming for. Let that go though, because you will be disappointed. You have to be able to accept that there are going to be people that are better than you. There's going to be people that might get the job easier than you. And as much as that might annoy you, you have to let go of your ego a little bit. We get upset by things because of our ego. And I think we need to re-humble it. Because when we can be in a situation where we go for something and we don't get it and we don't feel like, oh, well, that's it, I'm obviously not good enough, that is the level that we are trying to reach. So don't self-reject, but also don't get self-absorbed, because there's a very fine line. Something else that can help our anxiety and overthinking is silence and time. Now, I don't mean to give yourself time to think even more, because you cannot outthink yourself of a situation. The more thinking you do doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to suddenly figure out the problem. Sometimes it just requires a bit of silence and a bit of time. No reaction, kind of let go of it needing to be resolved right now, and just accept that it will be resolved when it gets resolved. And what you'll find very often is that your mind will actually clear up over this time, and you will be able to think a lot better when you've actually given it a bit of silence and a bit of time. So if you find that you can't solve this problem and you've been trying for a while, stop trying. Sometimes you need to just stop and let it be, and it will get resolved. Which leads on to remembering that the power is now. You are not going to be able to overthink your way out of a problem. You can't overthink yourself into a better past or a better future. All you have is what you do now. We do not need to think ourselves to a point of exhaustion before we finally do something. If you don't do, you won't get the outcome that you want. What you do now is what will change your future. It's what you do now that's gonna get you there, because then your future will become your now. Don't forget that. And what you do now should help you let go of the past. The past has already happened. There is nothing you can do to change it. As much as you can wish for things to have been different, they aren't. It's as simple as that. You have to accept that this point now to where you've got to is your reality. You have, especially, survived all of that before. You can keep going. You now realize that you have a huge strength in you to have dealt with all of that. I think you need to pat yourself on the back, because up until this point, everything that you have done in the past has gotten you here. So if you don't like where you are here now, then start making some changes. If you don't like what you're currently doing, make a change. I know it might sound like I'm trivializing the hurt and the pain that you might be carrying, but I do still stand by this point that you really have the control. You really do have the ability to make these changes. You've just got to want to. You've got to want it enough. And that means stepping outside of this comfort zone of the familiarity of suffering. And now it's time to start living. Now is important. And so sometimes we do need to fact check ourselves, because sometimes we can look at a situation where we think it's X and actually it might be Y. And the reason why is because we were looking at it through a different lens. We looked at it with emotions. We looked at it with a completely different viewpoint, and we kind of lost a little bit sight of what actually happened, because maybe there's a part of your ego that wanted to be right, so it will tell the story as if it was right. And this is where we do need to be careful, because sometimes these thoughts reflect your insecurities. They reflect your worries. They reflect your fears. How you might see the problem is really a reflection of how you see yourself. So try to step outside of the situation a little. Try to face yourself, and don't be afraid of being wrong. I think sometimes our egos really don't like to be wrong, but we have to remember no one is keeping score. No one cares about how many times you were wrong, and if anything, it's a very powerful move to accept that you were wrong and notice that you are wrong, because now you have the power to make the changes that you need. And what this can work towards too is getting to a place of peace. Acceptance is peace. Acceptance is about recognizing what the situation is and being okay with the outcome. And peace is happiness. When you can be at peace with yourself, with your environment, with your friends, with your situations, you will no longer feel as anxious as you once did. You will no longer be overthinking, because you have accepted that some things are just the way they are. You don't always have control over what everyone else does, but you do have control on how you deal with it, on how you accept it, on how you respond to it. You do have responsibility. No amount of anxiety or overthinking is going to change your future. No, actually it will, and it won't be a future that you like. Peace is where you have to accept the imperfections of life. In your past, in the now, the uncertainty of the future, and recognizing the controllables that you have. You can't control what other people do, or how other people treat you, or what other people say about you, but you can control how you feel about yourself. You can control how you react to those things. And so we should be working towards peace within ourselves. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I am so close to one of my milestones, so I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, because it helps my channel grow and reach more people that want to view videos like this, reach more people like you that have clicked on this video and watched right up until the end. Thank you so much. And if you did enjoy this content, drop a comment down below. I want to hear your thoughts, and hopefully I will then see you on the next video. See you later.